Previously on Sequel Decay.
And I should mention something. Chris Penwell, who was on the show for the last about 5 minutes last time, and we said would be joining us today, is unfortunately not here. We're very sad that he isn't, because we would love you guys to hear him and his opinions on things, but we'll have to get him next time.
We're sending condolences to Chris Penwell's family.
Yeah, one of those good wishes. Dear Mr./Mrs. Penwell, sorry we killed your son.
Yeah.
We're fucking recording! Jesus Christ! The police will use this against us!
This is staying in.
It's all canon. It's all...
Sequel Decay canon is confirmed. We have officially killed off Chris
Penwell.
I mean, considering what happened with Chris, I know he's gone, but there's no reason for us to have to take a break. The audience needs to hear what we thought of the latest Cape Shit movie, you know? What am I going to do for a guest this week? Oh my god. The show's developing a plot. What the fuck? Oh. Chris. Aren't you dead? Hello and welcome to another episode of Sequel Decay, where we struggle to get through the day one franchise at a time. I'm Chris Ranta, and with me today is neither Brandon or Stefan. Instead, I'm being joined by Chris Penwell.
It's an improvement, for sure. I'm just kidding. Sorry, guys. I love you guys.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing.
Well, I mean, at least they showed up to the endgame discussion.
It's true. That's very true.
We said we were taking a week off, and Stefan and Brandon are, but because I like to keep myself busy, I figured we would just record an episode today.
Yeah.
So, to make up for the Avengers Endgame episode, Chris, what did you think of Avengers Endgame?
Oh, well, I loved Avengers Endgame.
Okay, that's great. Moving on.
But let's talk about something more important.
What, than comic book movies?
Oh, yeah.
You mean to tell me there's something more important than Hellboy 2019? Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, no, I guess we can talk about something more important than Cape Shit. What would you like to talk about?
We decided to talk about this week Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and
Jesus
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay, Chris, why don't we start with the shit one?
Okay.
And just get it over with.
Yeah.
So, why don't you introduce our first film?
Okay, so this movie came out in 2005. It was directed by Tim Burton, and it tells the same story as the other one, kind of, but it goes into way too much exposition.
Film stars Johnny Depp, Freddie Highmore, Helena Bonham Carter, a bunch of child actors who have pretty much not worked since.
Who play stereotypes.
Who basically just play gigantic caricatures.
Yeah.
Basically follows the same story because it's based on the exact same book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. It's about a boy who gets one of 5 golden tickets to go to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, and there we meet the reclusive Wonka and all the zany shit that happens along the way. This is a weird one we're doing for the show because usually we focus on franchises and their sequels. We don't talk about a book adaptation and its remake.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is even going to be just a standard Sequel Decay or...
But there's also going to be a prequel series that is coming up soon.
That is true, yeah.
So that it will become a series at some point, so...
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just for the future.
I guess there's that Tom and Jerry one too. Fuck it. We really did just decide to scrape the bottom of the barrel for an episode. I wanted to do Silent Hill.
I would say like Willy Wonka is like a genuine classic.
Oh yeah, no, Willy Wonka's great, but we will get to that.
Yes. Starting off with the shit.
So this was at the height of Tim Burton's career.
Yeah.
I think.
I'd say
I would argue that this is where Tim Burton was at his peak, I think.
Yeah.
He was still making a lot of really, really weird original films, like Big Fish came out a couple years prior to this. I think his Sleepy Hollow movie did relatively okay.
Yeah.
The only big bomb I can see in that period for him
Corpse
would have been...
Bride?
No, that one was much, much better received than, like, say, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Tim Burton was at the height of his powers at this point. Like, even this movie got really good
critical response.
Yeah, really good critical reception. Yeah.
It's got around a 74-75% Rotten Tomatoes score, which is crazy.
It's at 82 on Rotten Tomatoes.
82?
82.
Damn.
and it's
like, this isn't a completely shit movie. Like, there's some positives to this film.
Yeah, like, there's good things about this movie, and I feel like we might as well just start off with them.
Yeah, let's start off positives.
Let's start off nicely, because, I mean, I don't hate this movie, I just don't think
it's just okay.
What are some nice things you have to say about Charlie and...
I think this is well shot. It's got some really cool shots in this film. The lighting's great. I just like cinematography overall.
Yeah, like it feels like a Tim Burton film in that it's technically very competent. It's very... Like, the set design is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous.
The production design overall is incredible. The lighting's great. The cinematography's really solid. It feels like a Tim Burton film visually, and Tim Burton films are usually visually stunning.
But he's one of the few directors in Hollywood right now who's generally an auteur.
I would say one of the big mainstream ones that's a genuine auteur.
Yeah.
It's like at least visually, because auteur can go either way.
If you look at this movie, you know, okay, that's Tim Burton.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I mean, like, he has that trademark style.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely nice to look at.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't completely make up for everything. However, I'm going to talk about a point that is going to be controversial.
Okay, bring it.
I actually kind of like Johnny Depp as Willy Wonka.
I do too.
There's things about the performance I'm not very keen on, and there's things that I prefer Gene Kelly.
Fuck! Hello, show business. Gene Wilder? Is that
yeah, it's Gene Wilder. I'm gonna fuck this up again, I swear to God.
Fuck.
Okay, so Depp's performance isn't perfect per se.
No.
You'd agree with me on that.
Yeah.
And there's definitely things where I'd prefer Gene Wilder over Depp.
But at the same time, they had to change up the formula.
They had to change
Gene Wilder's performance as Willy Wonka is iconic.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how Depp really took this role and made it his own. I'd say his role is kind of like, he's more childish, and that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say, he's much more childish. He definitely doesn't have that facade. He's completely transparent. You know exactly who he is from second one. Whereas in Willy Wonka, there's something about him. Yeah, he seems like a nice guy to the kids, but there's still something that feels off, like it's a phony facade, like a corporate facade.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I like how Depp's a little more transparent in his performance, and I think that's also the way he's written. I can see why that would probably not work for everybody. Because, like, if you compare, like, Willy Wonka and Charlie, when the kids are introducing themselves to him. In Charlie, he's like roasting them left, right, and fucking center.
Yeah.
Like, he straight up just calls the kid a fat ass. Essentially. And then in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, doesn't insult anybody. He gives them fair shake.
Yeah.
He just genuinely introduces themselves. He's like, I'm so happy to see you. I also really like the addition of the cue cards.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's
we're
kind of fun.
Chocolate Factory still.
Yeah, of course, we're still. Yeah, like, I liked how Johnny Depp's just reading off the fucking cue cards. That was kind of funny.
Yeah. He's a likable asshole. That's what I like about him.
Not even really a likable asshole, but like a relatable one, in the sense of like when the kids finally get their comeuppance, you're just like, I kind of feel that way. Like, when we were watching it together, I said to you, this is like watching, if you were to follow a slasher movie formula for a kid's movie, where you don't give a fuck about the main characters, and you just want to see, the killer get rid of all these kids. And that's how I kind of felt something would happen to one of the kids, and, they'd disappear to wherever the fuck, and Johnny Depp's just like, whatever.
But there's also some nuances to this movie. Like, one part was Veruca's father when he first meets kind of Wonka, and he just like looks at him like he's a monster. That was interesting.
I just lost my train of thought. Of course, Brandon texts during recording. Yeah, and those nuances are really solid, and they're really cool to kind of watch, like, these little nods here and there of like the way people act towards Wonka, or the way Wonka acts towards other people. Is there anything else positive that we can say about this movie?
Yeah,
I mean, like
there's some other things that I liked about Wonka's character. I thought I actually think the comedy is pretty funny. Like, there's actually some genuinely funny parts.
Okay,
like how instead. Like in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, he takes the business card, right? But like in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Wonka actually throws the business card in a funny way. And then there was another part where he imitates Veruca's father's accent, which is pretty hilarious too.
When he threw the business card behind him, I immediately thought that I think Rian Johnson took inspiration from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when directing The Last Jedi. Rian Johnson, please tweet at us if that's the case. Thank you. I'd really appreciate that.
I'm trying to think of some other positives. Like, I like how dark the film got at times.
Yeah, like,
it's quite interesting.
It's definitely a darker movie than Willy Wonka was. I respect its ambitions. I don't really know if I like the overall execution of it per se.
No.
But I respect the movie's ambition.
The effects I thought held up pretty well.
They held up okay, like, especially watching Willy Wonka immediately afterwards, which was the smarter thing to do. How great the practical effects are in that movie, but in Charlie it just felt so, like, the CGI and stuff felt so manufactured. Yeah. It feels so fake to me. That's just more of a thing with me.
Yeah. I kind of liked it more than you do.
Yeah, no, I think, you like this movie a little bit more than I do, but I think we're still on the fuck this movie train. Cool. I think that's it for positives. I can read my notes. Wow. I think we're good to go. Okay, let's take a shit on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. All aboard the fuck train. Woo! Woo!
Don't touch that squirrel's nuts.
Let's just talk about the first 10 minutes, because you and I were bitching about the first 10 minutes for
it's
3
15.
Fucking... Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, no, it's like more like the first 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was rough.
So...
It was really rough.
So for those of you who haven't seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, about the first 15 or so minutes of the film is pure exposition when compared to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which uses a more visual storytelling approach. This movie just wants to tell you everything, and sometimes exposition dumps are fine. When you're introducing a world for the first time, like in a sci-fi movie or something, you're gonna have to do a little bit of exposition. That's fine. Little bits here and there aren't a problem. But when you're dumping it, where it's like, you could take the first 15 minutes of this movie and make it fun. Yeah. Just solely through visual storytelling, you could make that 5 minutes. Like, this movie it just almost felt like they wanted to make it way too long. Yeah. Because it's way too fucking long.
The thing is that they focus more on Wonka's backstory, which isn't particularly needed.
It's also not interesting.
It's not that interesting. Like, we have this 5-minute tirade into Wonka making this chocolate bloody palace for an Indian prince or something like that. It's really weird.
That was just weird. Or like the flashback to how he got the Oompa Loompas, which is more or less faithful to how they talk about it in Willy Wonka, but like it's like 2 lines in Willy Wonka, whereas like here it's like this long stretch of narration and a whole scene. Like it feels like they tried to make this movie longer and they tried to expand on things, and none of it's really necessary.
And you don't relate to the characters either, because they tell the story, they don't show it. Like in Willy Wonka, like I felt attached to the characters, and I felt bad for Charlie when, he was broke and he couldn't buy like, there was a sense of anticipation when Charlie's opening the Wonka bars for the golden ticket.
But in this movie, there isn't.
In this movie, there isn't. You don't have that emotional attachment. The Chocolate Factory doesn't seem that wonderful. It's all bland and white and nasty to look at,
I don't think it's nasty.
It's not nasty, it's just boring.
Again, I think the big problem is that they took a lot of the same design ideas from Willy Wonka. Yeah. So, when we kind of get that reveal, it's like, it's kind of boring. It feels like an updated... The Chocolate Factory scenes when you go into that first field or whatever, pretty much does... Like, I won't say the exact same. I'm sure there's minor differences here and there, and it is more updated thanks to like CGI and stuff like that. But that's probably why it doesn't really affect us now, is because we're like, we've seen the original. This doesn't do anything for us.
I'll just say one good thing that we forgot to say. There was this funny joke where the old man is swearing about one of the golden ticket winners on the TV, and then Charlie gets his ears covered as the old man's like swearing like, "Oh, you son of a..."
Yeah, that was hilarious. That was a clever way to play with limitations. Yeah, but because I feel like think it was just PG.
But it is problematic with its characters.
Oh, Jesus Christ, yes.
Like, stereotypes up the wazoo.
We are not going to talk about some...
I like grapes!
Oh, no. Okay, we're going to talk about the fact that, like, the only character with Alzheimer's in this movie is Ralph Wiggum from The Simpsons, and it's embarrassing.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
They treat her like she's an idiot.
Yeah, they basically just treat her like, again, like Ralph Wiggum from The Simpsons. Just a fucking oaf who just says random random things, and it's funny because she said I like grapes. If they did it with like a little ounce of tragedy, maybe it would have worked, but it still would have felt baity as shit. So I don't really know what he could have done to make that better.
I don't know. But there were like Germans making sausage. There was.
We're not going to talk about that one scream that Johnny Depp does in the movie to call the Oompa Loompas. Yeah, like there's lots of little weird stereotype things. Like this movie feels dated.
Fat kid jokes.
I guess if you really don't like your fat shaming in Endgame, you're gonna fucking hate it here. Jesus Christ. Like, honestly, I don't think it doesn't anger me or anything. Like, I'm not ready to boycott Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Who gives a shit?
There was another troubling thing where like, there was this tribal kind of like no, it was like in Africa. Yeah, and they were trading animals for chocolate.
Okay, I think it was in the bathroom when that happened.
Yeah, they were trading animals for chocolate in the market.
I missed a scene.
It wasn't tribal. It was like in Africa.
Dodo's Africa.
Huh?
Gonna take a lot to drag me away from you.
Copyright.
And that's a copyright strike from Toto, and that's a hint for next week's episode where we talk about The Wizard of Oz and Return to Oz. What?
You know what also is problematic?
What?
The fucking songs.
Oh yeah, we can talk about the fucking songs. We gotta talk about the fucking songs, kids. Let's talk about the fucking songs. That was a great...
Augustus Gloop.
Shut the fuck up. Get the fuck out of my studio.
Big herring.
This episode is over. Goodbye.
Augustus Gloop, so big and vile.
I've never wanted to fucking shoot myself. And then we watch this movie. And then every so often when I'm sitting there thinking about real things, you start singing that.
So what do you hate about the songs?
Everything.
Yeah.
I hate that they are stupid. I hate that they are completely they're so completely tonally distant from what's going on in the movie.
Yeah.
Like the songs feel like they're aping on trends. Obviously, like I said, there was one that sounded like a Beatles song.
They referenced Beatles multiple times.
They referenced a lot, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, that's a Beatles reference. That's a Beatles reference," and you're just sitting there looking at me like, "Are you okay?" And I'm going, "I think I'm having a stroke," because after a while I started slurring. That's a Beatles reference.
I really don't like the Oompa Loompas either. Like they're the same copy of the same guy, and it's just it's a bit.
I think it
takes me out of it a little bit.
I think it's kind of interesting that they did it that way, but I think.
I hated like the voices. Like there were like some deep kind of voices and then some really high voices, and it just like sounded awful to me. Like all the voices.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I think if anything, I just found that their presence in the movie was merely obnoxious.
Yeah,
they didn't.
They weren't needed.
No, they were not whatsoever.
They were not needed.
I think if the songs were a million times better, or if the movie was more musical, I think the songs would work so much better.
They just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's the thing. They just kind of come out of nowhere. Again, they're aping on pop trends, at least of the time and of the past.
It's like a rocky kind of one. There's like a
there's a heavy metal one. There's a Beatles one.
I like the references in one of the songs though at the end with Mike TV's, where like there's like a Psycho reference. There's all kinds of different stuff going on. That's kind of cool.
That one was okay. Again, how many kids are gonna know Psycho? Also, it's funny they reference Psycho in a movie where Freddie Highmore goes on to play.
That's actually kind of
funny that he goes on to play Norman Bates. When you just think about that in that context only.
The opening song as well, where Willy Wonka's getting introduced for the first time, that was super creepy.
No, it's not even creepy. It's fucking obnoxious.
It is really obnoxious.
Like all the songs in this movie.
Willy Wonka! Willy Wonka!
We're gonna take a short intermission.
Ow! Shit! Ow!
Now if you can shut the fuck up now.
We're just kidding.
I think our 7 viewers know that. Don't look at the analytics, you assholes.
No. Share this. Like, subscribe.
Don't forget to ring that
bell. We even take a dislike. I don't care.
No, but like all the songs are fucking obnoxious and they're annoying and
they
feel just forced in there.
Yeah, it'd be a better movie without.
It would be so much better without the musical numbers. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Cut those out because I think honestly the Oompa Loompa shit, all those musical numbers would probably amount to about what 2.5 minutes of footage.
Yeah. They should have reduced the flashbacks and then that moment of Christopher Lee, which I like in this film by the way, as the father.
I mean, it's just Christopher Lee.
Yeah, it's Christopher Lee.
He was kind of phoning it in, honestly.
He was phoning it in, but he's always.
But Christopher Lee phoning it in is still great.
That goddamn voice, man.
Yeah, like if they cut the songs, like you said, and if they cut the flashbacks, honestly, I think even having the daddy issues as a reveal at the end would have been a lot more interesting.
Yeah, it would have been,
because at least then it's like
it's something different.
It's something different. It gives you something unique, and it would make. I think honestly, it would make the justification for why Willy Wonka is being really antagonistic towards Charlie's family a lot more meaningful, and at least have a lot more of a justifiable payoff. But here it's just like, we know this. It doesn't feel fresh to us. If anything, it's just kind of grating hearing
and
it
that
again.
whole like, ooh, I hate parents. I hate that word. It's like that just feels so forced.
That felt like, actually, I think honestly, if it was a little more subtle and they just kind of built it up that way, and they didn't have any of the flashbacks, that would have been really cool.
This movie doesn't know what the word subtle is, though. Like, I don't think Tim Burton knows what the word subtle is.
No, Tim Burton absolutely does not.
Yeah.
But then again, I also know some great filmmakers that don't either. Like Spike Lee doesn't know what subtlety is, but he makes amazing films out of that. And he also knows how to use that lack of subtlety effectively. He knows how to do it meaningfully, and he knows how to use it in a way where he can like punch you in the fucking face with his movie, like in BlacKkKlansman or Do the Right Thing, and make it fucking meaningful and make it really hit. Tim Burton does not know how to do that in this goddamn fucking movie, because he's really good at making a very specific type of movie. He's really good at making like little bedtime story movies like Edward Scissorhands, his 2 Batman movies, which I guess kind of fall under that same umbrella to an extent, and fucking Beetlejuice.
I like Big Fish.
But again, bedtime story movie.
Oh, I guess.
Like the little fable-ish kind of things. Like, they feel like fairy tales. Yeah, like, those movies, I think, are where he's at his best.
I think his movies are just interesting to watch, and that's why I enjoy watching his stuff, personally. If it's even bad, like, it's still interesting to look at.
There's no grounded character.
No, there's no grounded character. There's no, there's such a sheer difference between both of them, like Charlie and the others. Yeah. It's so weird.
Like, yeah, no, and it just blows my mind, because, like, yeah, Charlie's, like, this perfect little angel in the movie. Yeah. And the kids are all unbearable shitheads, and Johnny Depp as Michael Jackson is weird. There's no humanity to these characters. Yeah. They're fucking caricatures, and it's boring.
Die! Die! Die!
Oh my god, yeah. Holy shit. I thought that was Josh Hutcherson for a little bit. Like, I'm not even kidding. I'm like, is that kid from the Hunger Games and Zathura? Like, no, and, like, the whole movie is just... That's the thing. Like, you have no one to really relate to. You have no one to really connect to. The surrogate is yourself. Like, Charlie should be your surrogate through this, kind of.
And he isn't.
And he isn't, because he's basically sidelined the whole movie as soon as they get to the factory. And
it's probably because, Johnny Depp's a bigger star, so we'll just focus the story on him.
Yeah, no, and that's fine if you want to have that moment where fucking Johnny Depp, you know, says like, oh, I don't like families that much because of my history with my father. Again, it should have been a super minor moment, but that's here nor there. If you want to give Willy Wonka more fucking backstory, just in the name of giving Johnny Depp more screen time, whatever, but it doesn't work.
But it misses that mystery of the character. It misses the mystery of the factory. We need, you know...
Even if they build up a little bit of a mystery throughout of, like, why can't Wonka say the word parents? Why does that trouble him so much? Like, that would even be interesting. The movie just reveals its cards right away.
Yeah, and it's like Austin Powers. It's like, Daddy wasn't there.
Oh, yeah. Austin Powers and Goldmember is a better movie than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Confirmed.
So overall, mate, what did you think of this movie?
Overall?
Yeah. What would you rate it?
Well, I mean, we do a thumbs up, thumbs down system here.
Oh, okay.
Christopher Penwell. You know, if you were at the fucking Avengers episode, you'd know this. This would be a thumbs down for me. This would have been middle of the road if things were a little more, I don't know, if things were maybe done differently, maybe executed a lot better, or even a thumbs up. But as it stands right now,
I'd put my thumb sideways. Like,
oh, so you're middle of the road on this.
I'm middle of the road on this.
Okay.
Yeah, because I do think this movie is designed really well. Like the sets, the cinematography is really interesting. I do like most of the score as well. But
I remember nothing about the score.
I don't know. Yeah. But I did enjoy this movie quite a bit, despite its problems. And I do think Johnny Depp is a pretty good Johnny Depp is a pretty good Johnny Depp.
He's the only Johnny Depp that will ever Johnny Depp in the history of Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp is a good Willy Wonka.
Alright, so we're done shitting on that movie. We're gonna take a short intermission to hang ourselves.
Oh god.
Oh shit, we're recording. I'm gonna introduce our next film that actually doesn't really need much of an introduction.
No.
But Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is a 1971 musical family film directed by Mel Stewart and written by Roald Dahl and...
Himself?
Pardon?
Himself?
Yeah, Roald Dahl himself, who also wrote the book Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And also it was co-written by David Seltzer, but he was uncredited in the final cut. The movie stars Gene Wilder, Jack Albertson, Peter Ostrom, Roy Kinnear, and many other people, but none of them are Johnny Depp. And much like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and the book that both these films are based on, a boy named Charlie gets one of the 5 golden tickets. They go to the chocolate factory. They meet Willy Wonka, yada, 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 and hijinks fucking ensue. Did I say Gene Kelly or Gene Wilder when I was in?
Gene Wilder.
Oh, thank fuck.
I think it's Gene Wilder.
Thank fucking God. We're gonna go back and edit this. Yeah. And Gene Kelly, fuck.
That'd be a completely different film.
That'd be... Well, I mean, it's still a fucking musical. He probably would have done it fine.
I'm singing in the truck.
Moving on. So Chris, what did you think of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
It's an absolute classic.
I love it. It's
so
great.
Yeah, like I haven't watched it for about 10 years, I'd say.
Yeah, like I even said to you, like this is the first time I watched it in like 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
Like I haven't really thought about this.
And it's aged very well.
Yes. Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like we're both born roughly in the 90s.
Yeah.
We're both in our 20s.
Yeah.
This movie is still somehow a staple of our childhood. As I was saying to you earlier, this movie didn't do that well financially when it came out in theaters initially, and it did better over TV airings and home video, as it seems like apparently a lot of films back then did. But yeah, no, like it's one of those movies, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like the Tim Burton one, feels a little darker than it should at times, but it also feels tonally disastrous because it doesn't know what the fuck it wants to be. Something we forgot to mention, actually.
You're talking about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
No, I mean like the tone.
Oh,
we forgot to talk about the tone completely.
Yeah.
But TLDR, the tone is fucking everywhere in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
Here it's like there's little moments that are a little creepy.
But this is mostly a family-friendly film.
Yeah, like it's whimsical, it's hopeful, it's
Yeah.
sweet, it's charming.
And Willy Wonka actually genuinely cares for the children.
But there's nothing, like, the people that talk about this movie as if it's a fucking horror film because of the boat scene alone are idiots in my eyes. Because, yeah, like, if you watch the rest of the movie, it's sweet, it's funny, it's kind of, you know, like, it's just kind of charming and nice, and it's fucking harmless. Like, nobody dies at the end. Yeah, you don't see the kids leave the factory.
Yeah.
At all. You still...
And he says that they're just going to be as normal as they were, but perhaps they might have changed.
A little bit.
A little bit.
And I actually kind of like that ambiguity. I like how you don't know what happened to them.
Subtlety.
Well, not even that, just mystery. Just kind of makes you think, like, oh god, what the fuck are they going to turn out like? Whereas in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, it's like,
we see those
Mike TV is fucking Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, besides Mike TV in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I think most of the other kids that, when they left the factory, they looked more or less the same.
Yeah, apparently. That's what he says.
Yeah, like, it was, like, they were more or less the same kids. None of them died. And that's the thing, is, like, when you watch Willy Wonka, it's like, yeah, you know none of these kids fucking died. Like, obviously, they were put into some shitty situations, but they kind of threw themselves into there.
Yeah.
So it's not like you feel absolutely mortified for these kids, and you don't really feel for their parents either. You understand the position that they've been thrown into, and you empathize with them.
Yeah.
Which is more than what I can say for the parents in Charlie.
Mm-hmm. They established the mystery so much better in this film. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember there was like a man by the gate when Charlie looks into the factory.
Yeah.
And he says, nobody ever goes in and nobody ever goes out.
Yeah.
Like, that was effective.
Or even like the guy who confronts him in the alley when he gets the golden ticket. You know nothing about that guy till the end of the movie, and you realize he's working for Willy Wonka. Spoilers for this movie that came out fucking 50 years ago.
And I gotta of damn exposition drops. Thank God.
Oh yeah, like there's like the first 15 minutes of this is basically visual storytelling. You pretty much get what's going on. You get Charlie's position in life. He's not this perfect angel though, which I really liked. I like how he's just this scrappy kid.
He is flawed.
Yeah, he's just this scrappy kid that's trying to help provide for his family.
Yeah.
But he's still kind of that kid at heart where he wants to go to Wonka's factory.
And it is so sweet when he gives like his chocolate to his grandparents and stuff like that. Like that's such a heartwarming moment. But like in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you just don't get that. It's like, oh, I'm a nice kid.
Well, and there's also that scene when they open up. I think it was the second bar, and he looks at Grandpa Joe and he goes, "You know, it wouldn't taste as good with the golden ticket anyway."
That's
and
one
it's
of the
so
best lines.
Sweet.
But like it hurts at the same time.
It kind of hurts. Oh. Well, it kind of hurts, but it's also like, you know what? That was a really sweet moment to have.
It's bittersweet.
Yeah, like it's just this really bittersweet moment. You're like, Charlie genuinely wants to make his grandfather feel better that they didn't get the golden ticket. Because really, in the grand scheme of things, it's more the grandfather that's more concerned about it than Charlie.
The world building was much better as well. Like it was wacky, and you get these segments in between like the golden ticket winners where there's like these stupid scenarios that happen. And it's hilarious.
I really like the fucking. It was Violet's dad, right?
Yeah.
The one who's the fucking used car salesman. Every fucking second he's got, come down to my used car shop.
I think, it is Violet's.
I think that was Violet's dad.
But there's like a ransom note asking for like the box of Wonka chocolates, Wonka bars.
There's the auction,
and then there's the psychologist believing the patient's crazy dream so he can find the golden ticket himself. Like he wants to know, tell me what you saw in that dream. So like they're so desperate and it's funny. There's also a British teacher who's kind of a dick.
Yeah, like
and kind of like
it's wacky in the way like a movie like It's a Mad World is wacky, and it's just like kind of this like silly rat race to find these golden tickets. However, it's not 3 hours, but no, and it's just I agree with you. I really like the world building because it's just it's fun, it's nice,
and all that hysteria just adds to drama to the story as well. Because the grandparents say, you know, there's 2 billion people looking for Wonka bars, and then that just builds that anticipation of like Charlie opening the Wonka bar and then seeing the golden ticket.
Well, yeah, it's this once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah,
you know, going back to Beatles references, it kind of reminds me of like the hysteria around the Beatles and their American debut on the Ed Sullivan Show. Yeah, in a way, I literally just forced that in there because they made a bunch of Beatles references in a Tim Burton movie, and I just went.
Another subtle moment I like is how they introduce Wonka. Rather than have this obnoxious song, there's silence.
It's absolute silence as he just kind of slowly
walks up to them with a cane.
He's got a little bit of a limp, and then he's about to fall, and then he just gets back up, and
you immediately know what kind of character.
You know what kind of person he is. Yeah. You know he's mysterious. You know that he's charming. You know that he's a little goofy and silly. Yeah. And I mean, Gene Wilder fucking sells it too.
He is fantastic.
Like Gene Wilder is one of those actors that I just love to no end. Like I love him in pretty much every Mel Brooks movie he's been in. Yeah. He's just one of those. He's just a great actor.
I'd say it's probably one of the most iconic roles in cinema.
Oh fuck yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like he is Willy Wonka. Nobody else is ever gonna take that away from him. I mean, you can try all you fucking want. I'm sure that there are people that could probably do a really good job if, say, they were to readapt. Yeah. Gene Wilder is Willy Wonka. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's so good in the role. Dives right in. He doesn't hesitate. He makes it his own.
And you don't know what he's thinking.
Exactly. Next. You never know what he's thinking. He's so unpredictable.
And then, like, at the end, we see that humanity inside him. Mm-hmm. He shows kind of like an empathetic kind of side of him where he's like upset that, you know, Charlie failed, and then he shows, my boy, you've done it! You've won the golden ticket, and you've won the competition or something.
Well, because he gives back the everlasting gobstopper. Yeah.
That's another subtle moment.
That was a really subtle moment.
It's a very quiet kind of moment where like the clock was going in the background.
There's a lot of moments of just silence in this movie that are really nice. Yeah. Like the Tim Burton movie feels so
noisy.
Yeah, it feels so noisy. Like it definitely feels like it's appealing to kids, but it's not at the same time. Again, I don't know who the fuck that movie was made for. This movie, like, there's moments of silence. There's moments that ground the characters in reality, despite all the crazy shit that's going on. It feels like a real movie.
And the script is so good as well.
Oh, the script is so good, and it's so well written.
The quips from
it's
like
so
the different
clever,
characters.
and it's so funny. And like, yeah, there's little things here and there. Like, I think Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is a little more faithful to the book, but
it's by Roald Dahl.
No, and that's what I was gonna say is like Roald Dahl's script for Willy Wonka is like 1,000,000 times better than the script for Charlie, and it's written by the author, so who gives a shit how faithful it is? It's so clever and quick and smart, doesn't feel boring or dry. All the characters are lively and interesting, kind of. Like the kids, like the other kids around Charlie are still blatant caricatures, but
I love Veruca's father.
Oh yeah.
He's so hilarious. Like, he's just so desperate to
but I think
make
that
his
also,
daughter happy.
But also, the performances kind of drive that too, right?
Yeah.
And I think, like, because we complained a lot about the caricature stuff in Charlie.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like as much of an issue because, one, Charlie's a much better written character.
There's more humanity in the characters.
Two, the performances are so good across the board. Yeah, like, it doesn't seem to matter as much when you kind of sit there and think about it. Because, when I was watching the movie, I'm like, there's still caricatures, but I don't mind as much. And that's why, is because, like, the performances are so much better and everything feels a little more grounded in reality, and the movie doesn't feel like a fucking cartoon. It's really hard to kind of talk about this movie because it's such a classic and everyone's kind of talked it to death. Yeah,
but I would say one of the most iconic songs in movie history is Pure Imagination. That is just such an amazing moment, being shown the factory for the first time. The score of the music in the background.
It's swelling up.
It swells up. And then you get that with Willy Wonka's kind of like unpredictable personality adding to that song. Like he really gives a fantastic performance as he's singing this song.
Oh yeah, that was another thing we were going to talk about was the musical numbers.
Yeah,
because I know there's one that you and I both thought just could have been cut entirely.
Now that I think about it, I kind of like it.
No, I like the song.
It's very mellow moment of like. We'll explain the song. It's Cheer Up Charlie. Yeah. Like near the beginning of the song, the movie.
Yeah, Diana Lee's number.
Yeah, and it's nicely sung. You see Charlie walking around the streets. Like it could have been a bit shorter, maybe. It did go on for a bit.
It's a really long song,
but it's emotional. You like once again you're attaching yourself to the character and his disappointment, and it's kind of a sad moment as well. It really works for me. But yeah, it could have been shorter.
Yeah, I think it could have been shorter, but honestly for me, I think it could have been just cut out entirely because it just feels like the way the scene's set up, like the scene just kind of ends as Charlie leaves the room.
Yeah.
And it could have just ended with her just looking out. And even if she sang a couple lines of the song and then it ended.
But we see more of the family. Like they actually care for Charlie, and
oh yeah.
It just shows the empathetic side of this film that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory never had.
I'm actually surprised at how long the song feels, considering it's only like 2.5 minutes. Like it's a very, very short song when you kind of look at it isolated. And it's a really good song, isolated on its own. I really like it. It just kind of feels. I felt the movie just kind of came to a grinding halt.
Something else that this might be controversial to say.
Oh boy!
But I don't like the Oompa Loompa numbers.
Oh, I figured you're gonna do it. Okay.
Like I feel like they're unnecessary. They kind of like drive home that bloody moral that you could already kind of tell from what they were saying and showing in the film, and I think it's unnecessary. It's kind of dated as well, like how it's shown, how it's presented. So yeah, I'm not a fan of those parts. Like I never was a fan of those parts as a kid either, because I thought, oh come on, let's move on. Come on, we don't need to hear this fucking thing. This song. Same song that plays like 5 times in the movie.
Look at that, Chris.
What?
All those death threats. They get fucked in hell.
All those 7 death threats from the people listening to this.
Including my mom.
Yeah. Oh shit.
I actually like the songs a lot. I think they're like, you're right. It's repetitive as shit, but
it's better than the Charlie.
It's so much better than the ones in Charlie. I think if Tim Burton did like haunting versions, like more haunting versions of those songs. Made them a little creepier. Not too creepy, but like a little creepier, instead of doing whatever the fuck those songs were in Charlie. I think it would have been a much better film.
We want to sell the soundtrack, so here's some awesome Oompa Loompa songs to.
Yeah, buy the soundtrack so you have something to cry yourself to sleep to.
Augustus Gloop, the great big meaning incomplete.
I hate fucking music. But like, yeah, and that's why I don't hate the Oompa Loompa stuff as much. Also, the movie's a musical, so it doesn't bother me as much. The only time it really felt weird was the placement of Veruca's song.
Yeah.
And then the Oompa Loompa song, like, pretty much immediately after.
That wasn't needed.
Like, there was...
We got the point.
No, like, the point's there. Like, it almost felt like, yeah, that would be the only one I'd cut. Would be that one.
Yeah. Just
because it feels very unnecessary after seeing Veruca's number.
I also like... the musical references to the songs we hear throughout the film. Like, I've got a golden ticket, I've got a golden ticket in my hand.
Yeah.
Like, that's referenced throughout the whole film, and it's kind of sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, that was a fantastic scene as well, as Grandpa comes up from his bed, and it kind of feels really satisfying to see him be so joyful to go to the factory.
Yeah, the score's great. I don't mind the Oompa Loompa songs as much.
Yeah, I don't like them personally.
No, to each their own. Unlike what these comments say on YouTube. Holy
I
shit.
can't take much more of this.
It's really hard to kind of talk about this movie because it is an iconic classic, and I feel it's been talked to death.
I'd say
unless there's something else you have.
The physical effects are going to age way better.
Oh my god, yeah! Like, and I mean, just watching.
There's some weird stuff like green screen that you could obviously see, but like most of it,
but
it's dated really well.
I think it kind of adds to the charm, honestly.
Oh fuck yeah!
I don't know why. Like, even like if it kind of reminds me of like the old Evil Dead movies, where like the practical effects are kind of shitty and dumb, but it's like it just adds to the charm, Like, it's just
I generally think some things are good, like the testing room. Oh yeah, the foam kind of truck, things like that.
Oh no, that stuff's amazing.
It's so good.
The TV teleportation room, like. Like, everything, like, I'd say it's going to hold up so much better than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, when I watched like I said before, like, when I watched the practical effects for Charlie, it just kind of felt, like, manufactured and boring, and I don't give a fuck. Yeah. It also doesn't help that they more or less used the same layout for the Chocolate Factory that they used in
and they used what took me out of it actually was like when they used the same lines as the original as well. Yeah. That was really bad.
Yeah, of course, visually Willy Wonka's gonna age so much better.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we keep seeing re-releases of Willy Wonka, and we're probably never gonna see a re-release of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory again, is because I'm pretty sure I forgot about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, honestly.
It's kind of a forgettable film.
It's a really forgettable film. Like, it's like, honestly, if I didn't take notes, I would have been like, what the fuck happened in that movie again? Yeah. Like, because it's boring and stupid, but we're not talking about that movie anymore. We're talking about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
And I love how ridiculous Gene Wilder is while they're on the phone track. Like, he's just singing some random thing.
Foam's everywhere, and he's just like, I'm having the time of my fucking life.
Yeah, he's just so into it.
Oh, he's having such a good time, and it shows. Like, I kind of just want to go watch it again. Why the fuck am I playing this?
So yeah, let's talk about the ending then. Like, it's super sweet. It's very wholesome.
It ends very quickly.
Yeah.
Like, it just ends with them going out the top of the elevator. He offers Charlie the factory. Charlie says yes and brings his family down, and there's no big conflicts. Again, I still kind of think that the potential that they would have had if they brought up that conflict in Charlie would have been really good, but of course they fucked it up. So,
how did they fuck it up?
By what, in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Oh shit! Okay.
No, like in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I'm getting it mixed up.
When they don't. One's good, one's bad. Done. No, but like that. No, but when they bring up the conflict towards the end of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and it has to lead to the resolution of him and of Wonka and his father. That could have been a really good moment. But like we said earlier, it's not. So here, just seeing it just be like, you got what you wanted, you win at the end of the day, you passed the test, now, great, you get my factory. That was all done super, super well. And I like how it just kind of ends right there, because really there's no other place you can go with the movie from
And
there.
then it ends with pure imagination.
It ends with pure imagination as the credits roll.
Yeah.
Whereas, and then there's the end of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where it's them having dinner in the factory, and it's stupid.
It's like the Grinch.
oh, fuck, yeah, no, it really did look like the Grinch, didn't it? Jesus. Actually, no, it looked like the set design for The Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
Which was directed by Tim Burton's main production designer, Bo Welch.
Oh.
Yes,
Very
that's
good,
why.
true.
But, I mean, The Cat in the Hat is gonna...
Maybe Trivia Schmodown champion here.
No. I'm gonna get emails from Christian Harloff when this fucking publishes. Hey man, you want to be on Movie Trivia Schmodown? You'll be like, I'm busy with the show. I can't.
I'm stuck in Canada. Christian, I'll join the Inner Geekdom. I'll give it a go. And I know the set designer of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory actually got a few Oscars or something as well. Before.
Right.
Which is interesting.
Bo Welch was the production designer on Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, Batman Returns, and Space Jams. But the main three were like, you know, Batman Returns, Beetlejuice, and Edward Scissorhands. And I think, to be honest with between you and I guess the audience, all 7 of you, I think The Cat in the Hat is going to look more visually... like, the visuals in Cat in the Hat are going to age much more gracefully than the ones in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Maybe you should have brought Bo Welch back, you piece of shit hack. Fuck you, Tim Burton.
I'm sorry, babe. I love you.
Tim Burton to Bo Welch, though.
So, just to finish this off, what would you rate Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
this
Factory?
is a thumbs up. I mean,
fucking thumbs up to the goddamn ceiling.
Like, this is like, if you haven't watched it before,
what are you doing?
Like, go fucking. You can probably honestly just go find a copy on Blu-ray for like $5.
You don't think like nostalgia has any?
No, I honestly don't.
Nonsense.
I think it's no, I don't. It's super well made. It's super charming. I mean, if I ever had kids, God forbid, I would show this to them. You know, and I think honestly, to be honest with you, I think this movie actually shaped a bit of my taste in film. Like that boat ride scene. I think that's why I'm a big David Lynch fan.
We didn't even mention that.
No, we didn't, because there's really nothing else we can say about it that's really interesting. Like, it's fucking trippy and a little creepy, but I don't think it makes the movie a horror film all of a sudden.
It shows Gene Wilder's fucking, like, range. He's so into this film.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's just putting his all into it.
I gotta make you watch...
I need to watch another Gene Wilder movie. I know that for sure.
I gotta make you watch the old Gene Wilder Mel Brooks collaboration.
Yes.
Like Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, the producers. Favorites. So before we wrap this up, seeing as we have a little bit of time together, before we must say goodbye, darling, where do you see the future of, I guess, this franchise going, assuming that they want it? Do you think they're going to reboot it? Do you think...
Well, they said they were going to do the Willy Wonka kind of like prequels, which I'm not happy about, personally.
Yeah, but it's also being directed by Paul King, who did the 2 Paddington movies. So
it could be good.
I think it might be maybe be in okay hands. If it was done by Illumination, fucking shoot me now. But because it's being handled by someone who really cares about the properties he works on, obviously, again, looking at the 2 Paddington movies.
I wonder if it's animated or live action.
I wouldn't be shocked if it was live action.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason for them to do animated.
Who would you cast?
Who would I cast as Willy Wonka? Well, you
Because
said...
it can't be too old. It can't be Jim Carrey because it's a prequel.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, I guess it's a young Willy Wonka. Maybe Evan Peters from American Horror Story? I think he can pull it off. I think he can do an okay job. Again, it depends on how young a Willy Wonka you want, though, right?
Yeah.
They're probably going to cast some schmo.
Tom Holland, maybe.
No, God, he's too young.
He's too young?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think he's way too young. I don't know how old they want to go for this thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. If it's like pretty young, then Tom Holland for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to say at youngest Evan Peters, I'd say... Oh, God, yeah, I don't even know.
If it's like older, then Jim Carrey for sure.
Well, honestly, I think I wouldn't mind just seeing another straight adaptation of Willy Wonka.
Me too.
Because you and I said it earlier.
And then they could do the sequel. There's actually a sequel book.
Yeah, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator.
And it's very strange that actually hasn't been adapted yet.
Yeah, I'm a little... I wonder if they had any plans like they might have wanted to after
but it wasn't
Tim Burton's movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think it did well enough.
Yeah, I think it did well.
Maybe they just didn't have any plans.
I'm gonna look that up. So yeah, it actually made quite a lot of money. It was $474,968,763 which is quite an insane number. I don't think I can see the. Oh yeah, so the production budget is $150 million.
Okay, so it did fine because you got to realize half of that's got to go to the theaters. So how much was the budget again?
$150 million.
So they would have had to make about 300 to break even. So they made a small profit. Maybe that's why they just didn't decide.
Yeah, maybe it would have declined.
Yeah, they figured
in sales or something.
Yeah, because 150 is a lot for a movie. But
I think if you had an awesome director, a great Willy Wonka, you could really you can make this an amazing franchise.
Well, who do you think would be a good Willy? Or a good director for... Who would be a good Willy? My Willy, of course.
Who would be a good Willy, yeah.
Yep.
David Yates.
David Yates? Well, yeah, because I guess he's the Harry Potter guy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like, he makes solid movies. He can direct his cast pretty well. So I think he'd be a really good choice because he makes those fantastical movies really well.
I mean, I really want to see what Paul King's going to do with it. I don't even know who I think would actually be a decent director for a Willy Wonka movie. I know if they ever remade Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for whatever reason, or did another adaptation of the book, I would love to see Crispin Glover play Willy Wonka. Like, the fact that didn't even happen in 2005 fucking pisses me off to this day. Like, Crispin Glover should have been Willy Wonka. That would have been amazing. Now, if honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing like a Crispin Glover starring Willy Wonka movie where it leans a little more on the horror. That would be fucking cool.
Yeah,
that would be great. But it'll never happen because it won't make money. Well, I mean, besides the prequel, which will come out eventually,
I do hope we get a proper remake again.
I wouldn't mind
because there's
seeing
a lot of things you can do nowadays with the tech available.
Yeah,
you can make it a 3D fest. Nah,
I'd
rather not. But yeah, it could do really well if Warner Brothers plays their cards right.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like I mean, but then again, they'd have to play their cards right and not bring back Tim Burton.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of a good director for it. Because I think David Yates would do a decent job, but I don't think it'd be amazing.
That's the thing, yeah, it wouldn't be great. Would just be fine. They don't even have anyone cast in this thing. Wow. I'm just looking at the IMDb page for the prequel thing that they're doing. Well, the guy who's writing the script for it was one of the writers on Inside Out. That's a plus. But he was more of just like an additional story material guy. If that'll make things better or worse. But I'm
gonna throw this out there. Who's the director of Looper and Star Wars The Last Jedi?
Rian Johnson.
He might be a good pick.
Wow, we're coming full circle. I made fun of him like 30 minutes ago.
He actually might be a good pick though.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, he does some weird stuff.
Yeah.
With his movies. And he's got a good pedigree with blockbuster films. The Last Jedi is better than everyone thinks. Thank you very much.
Cannot wait for our Star Wars episode where we get death threats.
I also think the director of The Greatest Showman might be good. Michael Gracie. He could give it like a classic look of Willy Wonka, that kind of like look in 60s, 70s kind of thing. That'd be very great.
I have no comment because I haven't seen The Greatest Showman.
But yeah, we're just talking out our ass.
Just kind of.
So, do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, sure. We should probably do that, shouldn't we? All right, that's it. I think that's all we can really do on this. Chris, would you like to do a quick plug for your show?
I do a video game podcast called Active Quest. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, your podcast provider, as well as Podbean. We do weekly video game news, and we go over what we're playing every week. But sometimes we do have a main topic that we discuss that's really interesting. Like, we've done a top 5 list for our favourite PS3 and 360 games with a special guest, the PlayStation. And we have a few special guests here and there that come and join us, and it's been super fun so far. We're on episode 21, so feel free to give us a look and listen to our stuff.
Yeah, and you can follow them on Twitter, Podbean. Are you guys on YouTube?
Kind of. Yeah.
That's fair. That's a very fair answer.
We experiment.
Any links to their content I will be leaving in the description for the video and the whichever audio provider we end up using.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Penwell Writes.
Yes. All right. Well, that's it for us. We'll be back next week with for sure Stefan. I don't think Brandon's gonna be on next week.
Mm-hmm.
So Stefan will be back next week, and so will you.
Oh, this is news to me. Okay, what are we watching?
Well, Chris, I guess since we're here, we'll do the big reveal.
Oh God.
We're going to be watching... Alright, so yeah, watching next week. Chris, are you down?
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay, well, I hope you are. I mean, it's going to be a big episode. We've got, 6 films to go through. Alright, thank you so much, guys, for watching, and Stefan and I for sure will be back next week, and possibly even Chris. Bye!
Bye!